What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to finally be rebuilding the bamboo gazebo that fell down when I was on vacation and crashed to the ground. Took down all my plants with it. So today we're going to be rebuilding, but we're going to be rebuilding smarter, better, stronger. So the old gazebo, the design was that it was sitting on my concrete pavement, because I used some shelving from an old metal gazebo I had, and that was weighed down with stepping stones, and that worked really well. But eventually those metal shelvings rusted, and that's ultimately what led to the failure of the gazebo, because the bars beneath rusted and then there was nothing holding it down. So when, I'm assuming, a strong storm or wind came, it just collapsed. I wasn't home to see what happened. I just came back to that. So that's my assumption. So this time we're going to be widening the gazebo so that I can put the bamboo stakes into the ground outside of the concrete slab. So this way they are actually anchored in the ground. So I'm going to cut the length of my bamboo the same height that it was before, but add on 2 feet, because that 2 feet is going to be now in the ground instead of just sitting on top of the ground. So that's the plan. Also, and I had originally one large bamboo stalk for each corner. I'm changing that to 6. Now, I know that sounds kind of like overkill, but there is a reason for that, okay? Have you guys ever played with Lincoln logs when you were a kid? You know how they interconnect? So I was thinking about the previous time I used all kinds of stuff to put that gazebo together. You can watch the video and see, you know, I used Gorilla Tape and twine and zip ties and all kinds of things to secure the corners. But I thought, I'm still gonna secure it with zip ties, but I wanted to have almost like an interlocking system so that the bamboo kind of supports itself, just to make the structure more stable. So I've come up with this design, and I'm gonna show you here kind of my little prototype of how it's gonna work. Okay, so here we have our little prototype of what the top will look like. And part of me was saying that there was 6 before. I don't know what I was thinking. There is 8, because there is 4 in the center and 4 on each side. So the way this works is I have these 2 thicker ones in the center, and then I have 2 thin ones catty corner, so that when I put on these, the side ones, that they don't hit together, because I want a gap here and a gap here, so that when I put my beams across, just like Lincoln logs, one goes that way, and then one will go in this way. Right? So much more secure. And then obviously it'll be tied down, but so that's how it will be. This is not to scale. The bamboo shoots that I'm going to be using are going to be much bigger than this. So this little corner pole is going to be more like a column than a pole, but it'll be super sturdy and really secure. So I'm hoping this lasts for years and years when it's all done. But yeah, so that's the prototype. 4 in the center, all the same height, and then 4 on the outer edges that are taller. So this will be the exact design that will be on the very top of all my long poles. So these poles are going to be, you know, over 8 feet high, and the tops will be cut to these dimensions. So that's how I'm going to do the interlocking corner system. I'm also going to have some supports in other places, just to help the structure be more stable, and I'll show you guys that all as I go along. This might be a 2-part video depending on how long this takes or how I can shorten the editing, but we'll see. So I don't know right now. So we are literally starting this from scratch together right now, and it is a cloudy, overcast, kind of rainy day, which is fabulous because it has been so hot. And when you're working up on your bamboo poles and hanging stuff, staring at the sun is not ideal. So it's a perfect day. So yeah, let's get to work. First step, cutting a whole bunch of those. So let's talk about the tools we're going to use to cut this, okay? This is my Craftsman hand saw, brand new, right? So I had one of these before and it was fabulous. It cuts through these things like butter, absolutely fabulous. And I used that thing to absolute death. And I left it out in the rain and it rested, and now it's just, it was a nightmare to try to cut those. Like, it was not working. It was very frustrating. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy a new one. So these run about like 10, 12 bucks depending on where you get them from, and it really is perfect for cutting bamboo because it's super sharp, it's very important, but it's long and thin. So if you have like a thicker hand saw, the bamboo is, as you notice, is pretty like really close together. So if you try to get a big saw in there, oftentimes you can't. So if you want like a piece like deeper in, that's like the right size that you're looking for, then you can't really get a big saw in there. So this is why this is absolutely my favorite saw for cutting bamboo. Okay, for this next step, I need to figure out exactly how tall I need the bamboo poles to be. So I want it to hit kind of like right at the bottom of that upper window. So I need to make sure my poles are that high, plus the 2 feet that's going to go into the ground. So I'm actually using an old bamboo pole to kind of be my marker, and this will be the pole that I use to measure and cut all my other poles. What I have here is this notch is exactly how that I marked this like little zip tie here. That's how tall it's going to be. That's going to be the very highest point of these back 2 pillars. All of this is going to go in the ground. This 2 feet down into the ground. So really it'll be like this. This part will go down into the ground, and all of this will be what is left above ground. One more important thing to note about the structure that I'm building is that these 2 back columns are going to be taller, about a foot taller than the front columns. So in other words, it's going to be at an angle. And the reason for this is because I've had many gazebos in the past, and they all had flat roofs or just slightly angled roofs, and the water pooled like insane and eventually ripped the tarp like every time. These were like store-bought gazebos. So yeah, so the last gazebo I built at an angle, so the rain just rolls right off, and that worked great. So the same one we're building at an angle, so the back 2 columns taller than the front columns, so it will be at an angle. So keep that in mind. So this pole that I cut is for the back columns. We'll work on the back columns first, get those in the ground, and then we will move on to the front columns. Yeah, because depending on how the back columns come out, I may change the height of the front columns depending on how the angle looks once it's all together. So yeah, we're gonna do the back columns first. Okay, so now that we have our little, this is like our ruler piece of bamboo that we're gonna cut all of our other bamboo to match. we're gonna cut 4 of these this size, and then we're gonna cut 4 that are about, I'm gonna say 5 to 6 inches shorter on top, so that I can do my little model here of having the tall ones and then the shorter ones. So this one, this size, is going to be the 4 taller ones, and then I'm going to have my 4 shorter ones in the middle. And also, like, these 2 on the very edge are going to be thinner. So my very thickest pieces will be here, here, and the 4 sides, and then these will be thinner because I want a smaller gap between the different pieces of bamboo. So we will be working with probably at least 2 different sizes of bamboo, if not 3, for this project. Okay, let's go back to cutting. We've got our first 2 poles cut. They are pretty massive, like I can barely get my hand around them. So these are going to be the 2 center shortest ones, okay? And we want these to be the absolute thickest because they're going to be lowest and supporting the most weight. So I cut these to length, and now I'm just going to twine these 2 together. And then we're probably going to put these in the ground next. I don't want to assemble the entire column at once because even though bamboo is very light, 8 of these together is going to be kind of heavy. So that would be a lot to kind of like maneuver into the hole. So I think if I put the center part in, then I can put the other bamboo poles around it, secure it, and I think that'll be a good idea. So first we're just going to secure this in several places all the way down the pole. Okay, so I have my poles secured and 4 different spots all the way down. So now it is time to come over here. So yes, we're going to get right here, about 2 feet down, and here's to hoping we don't hit any pipes. Okay, so now what I'm going to be doing is attaching the center pole that is the same height as these to right between these 2. So I'm just going to line it up. And then I'm going to tie this one on, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing in the back. So we're going to have one in the front between the 2 poles and one in the back between the 2 poles. Okay, so this is where we're going to put our taller beams on each side of the center one, in the front and the back. So we're adding 4 more bamboo poles, but the taller ones, to this post right now. hit a snag because this pole apparently is extremely crooked. So this one ain't gonna work. So I don't have another one that is actually straight because this guy has a definite curve to him. Okay, so I have all of our poles secured, 2 in the front, and then I also put the 2 in the back. Right now I just have them together with zip ties, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a whole bunch of twine all around the sections to secure it all together. And then eventually I'll clip off my zip ties because I won't need them anymore once all of my twine is secure. Also up top, 2 of my poles are like 2 inches taller than the rest of them. So I need to adjust those. I'll just lop them off with the saw when I get on my ladder there. But after I wrap these, that's probably going to be the last thing that I do for right now because it is currently raining on me. So I'm going to go inside for a bit and we'll come back out and finish the other side when it stops raining. Also, I need to fill in my hole before I go inside. Okay, so it is the next day. I did not come back out later in the evening to finish the other column. Yeah, I went grocery shopping, ate dinner, and said that was it. So, but I'm back out here today. Unfortunately, it is an extremely sunny day as the sun just begins to come out from the clouds there. And it's very hot. Yesterday was cool, so I kind of regret not coming back out to finish this yesterday. But that's okay. We will forge ahead and we're gonna finish this other column and maybe even the front 2 columns. We'll see how like blazing hot it gets out here as the day gets later. So this video is not super long. I'm just gonna use like editing magic here and show you guys after I'm done with this because it's the same exact thing as the other one. They are twins, they are the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this and then I will check in with you guys when I am done with that. Hey guys, so it is several hours later in the hot, blazing sun, but I have the next pole of the bamboo gazebo totally done right there. So there's the first one, and the second one is over there. Yeah, so those are the first 2. I have 2 more to go, but I'm gonna wait until the sun goes down because it is insanely hot and bright out here. Okay, and we are back. It is early evening. It is still super sunny out, but so much cooler, so we're okay. So I spent the last hour cutting down 16 more bamboo poles. So that is 8 for each of my other 2 columns that I'm building. So we are making these exactly the same as the other 2 except for the height of them. Okay, so this is my measuring stick for how high I want the front of this to be. This is about 1.5 to 2 feet shorter than the back columns so that I get that angle, but it's still high enough to where everyone can walk under it without hitting their heads on it. My old one, it was probably a little taller than me, so I was fine going under it, but people who were taller than me, like my partner, he would have to like duck when he went under it. So this one's gonna be a little higher to accommodate everyone, but still low enough so the rain rolls off of it. So I'm gonna cut all of those 16 bamboo poles. I'm gonna cut them to this size plus an extra 2 feet on the bottom to account for it going into the ground. And then also some will be 4 inches shorter so we can do that interlocking system that we did on all the other columns. Okay, so I have half of my poles cut and I realized I screwed up. I made them too short. I made the inner bamboo poles the height from the ground, not including what needs to go under the ground, which is fine. I mean, I only cut half of them, so I'm still going to use those. So I will just have half of the column going 2 feet into the ground, so kind of like prongs on the outside going down, and then the center will be sitting on the ground, which will be fine. It'll still be secure enough because it'll go so deep. But yeah, I was so like wrapped up in just cutting, getting it done, and I did not even think of that. So the next ones I will be cutting to the right size, and it'll still look the same in the end, but the way we're gonna put it together will be a little bit different, in a different order. So I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do that. And so yeah. What's the saying? Measure twice, cut once. Yeah, I didn't do that this time. Okay, so as I was cutting the longer poles, I was thinking about this more, and I think my best bet is going to be to assemble this entire column before I put it in the ground. I did not want to do that on the taller ones because they are quite heavy once all the poles are together, but these are a lot shorter, so it's going to be a lot lighter, and I think that's just best to ensure that there's no shifting, since I'm going to have different length poles now as I put it in the ground, because I really want it to be really sturdy. So I'm going to go ahead and tie together the 4 center ones, then the outside 4 that are going to be longer, dig our hole, and we'll just put the whole thing in the ground at once. So go ahead and assemble the center column. So I've got my center column all tied together. So now I'm going to put on my longer poles that are going to be like little forks on one end here. This I'm going to utilize my zip ties for, because it's going to get heavier and more awkward as this goes. So for this, I want to leave about 2 feet, make it longer than these center poles, about 2 feet. And then I'm going to leave about 4 inches at the top, 4 or 5 inches at the top. So it's going to be a little longer at the top and a lot longer at the bottom. So it's going to go on each side of our small pole. So I'm going to zip tie this together. And then we'll tie it with the actual twine after it's a little secure. Now I'll put my other one right here, and then I'll twine this before doing the other side. Time to twine this and then put the 2 poles on the other side. I take back everything I said about this not being heavy. The weight of this sitting on my leg while I was wrapping the first one, oh my gosh. My leg fell asleep and then I got a cramp when I tried to get up. Like, this is heavy. Yeah, so I'm not gonna support this with just my leg while I finish tying it. I'm gonna lift it and lean it on the table because, yeah, this thing's heavy. I mean, it's not so heavy that I can't lift it. Like, I'll obviously be able to put it in the ground, but it's heavy just to have leaning on you. So, yeah. But since it's so heavy, that means it'll be really stable and secure. So, that's the idea. I want this to last, like, years. I'm quickly losing daylight. I might not be able to get both of the other columns done before it gets dark, but I'm gonna try. So the sun has already gone down, but we're gonna get this corner finished. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dig the hole and then get that post up. Okay, so it's gotten very dark. As you can see, I was able to get the center 4 poles of the last column tied together. I'm finishing the last 2 ties, and then I'm going to go inside because it's almost to the point where I can't see. So I will work on this again tomorrow. Welcome to a new day. So it is the next morning, and I am going to finish up this last post and then finally get that last corner in the ground. Okay, so I got the last column all built, and now we can just dig the hole and put it up. It's in. All 4 columns are in. Next step is I gotta clean off all of this because I need to, in order to do the roof, I'm gonna be moving my ladder all the way across, so this all has to be clean. So that's next to do. Okay, so I think this is where I'm going to wrap up this video. So stay tuned for our part 2 if you want to see how the roof and everything comes along. Hopefully there won't be a part 3. Hopefully part 2 will be enough to get the roof done, but I mean, the roof has a lot of beams, so we'll see. We'll see how long this little series goes on. But thanks so much for watching. If you got any comments, just drop them in the box below. Yeah, and I'll answer them if I can. Alrighty guys, until next time, I hope you guys have a blessed week and happy gardening.